So I'll start this meeting. It's the Ad-Hoc Curbside Trash Committee, Thursday, February 9th, 2023, in the Veterans Room, 6 p.m. Roll call, Councilor Marquetti is here, Councilor Steves, present. Health Inspector Wazuik,
Here.
Daniel Grabowski,
Here.
Kevin Buxton,
Present.
Steve Gregoire,
Here.
Mark Latoy,
Here.
Kathy Grenier.
Here.
Everyone's here, thank you. Agenda item number 3, consider and approve curbside trash committee minutes of January 26, 2023. Has everybody had a chance to look them over?
Do you want that copy back?
Keep it in
Minus
mind.
76.
Okay. You want to point them out, or?
Pelletiers, P-E-L-L-E-T.
Okay.
And a couple of
Where
managers,
is
it
that?
should be managers.
They're at the end? No.
No, it's the last paragraph of the first page.
All right. Yep, you're right. Yeah. All right, all those in favor? Thank you. Agenda item number 4, discussion of survey results to date. Daniel?
Yes, I do have the results, our first batch that we accumulated, we meaning inspectional services. We have received approximately 1,000 responses, the survey's back, there's much more to go. We did, again, tally up the results in a spreadsheet. Our team did a wonderful job, it did take us a while, and, but if you'd like, I'd like to share the results with everyone.
You have the floor.
Okay, so I will start with the first section that I have here, which goes from question 3 on, and which most seem to believe, and that this is the most important component of the questionnaire. It's the options,
Right.
question 3. So the options are A, taxes, B, flat fee, C, user fee. With that said, here are the results. Taxes, 276, flat fee, 255, user fee, 414. Moving forward, affiliation, and that's representative owner, landlords, renter. Owner responded, 687, landlords, 51, renters, 215. Moving forward, first question was, where do you get your town information from? And the options were town council meetings, mail, website, newspaper, social media, coffee shops, senior center, and other. Out of those are broken down with town council meetings, 153 responded to that. Mail, 488. Website, 277. Newspaper, 277. Newspaper, 227. Social media, 304. Coffee shop, 47. Senior center, 24. And other, 122. If the committee would like for me to read some comments that I've highlighted, I can. Okay. And we did get a lot of comments. I will share what I have highlighted. And these are verbatim right from the survey. Starting with this one. Neither, but since I have no choice, why did you wait so long? This was a problem long ago. Another one. Don't the current taxes cover a new contract? I am a senior citizen who basically puts one Walmart bag into my trash container weekly. I cannot see purchasing a bag weekly when I wouldn't fill it. Need more information on the subject. This one highlights a lot of the comments, in particularly in that response. Need more information, however it was worded. Like this one, I would like more info before deciding depending on costs. Need more info on costs? Property taxes are already insane for Southbridge. However, I can only imagine how much trash will be around back roads if you leave it up to the tenants to pay. Who will count trash bags? We already pay too many taxes. Renegotiate with Casella. We shouldn't have to pay for trash. Life costs are up, but pay isn't. Just a few more, and I think that'll be enough. Need fee amounts in order to select one. There is no info. What about fees? Go back to the way it was. Info from. Nowhere, because this is actually a city. That alone tells me not to listen to the town.
Funny, but it's important.
Don't kill the messenger here. Need, let's see. Need fee amounts in order to select one. There is no info about fees. The list goes on, and folks were very, very vocal. May I share another one that I had a call today from a resident that would like me to emphasize this, the consequences of any selection, what it may impact illegal dumping and just trash accumulations. Her belief is that the incidence of illegal dumping on private property will significantly rise. And she wanted me to share that with the committee and everyone present. Would you like to hear any more?
No, I think that's good.
Okay.
Hold on.
Let's see this.
Okay, I will go around the room with the committee. Go ahead, Daniel.
I have something to share. My street alone, you know, it's pretty much senior citizens, I'm being one of them. They pretty much want to keep it the same. Because they don't understand the bag system, and I'm pretty much, you know, I'm not in favor of it myself, but nothing simpler than taking out the trash to the street and having someone pick it up. They're not really worried about how much it's gonna cost, even though, you know, they don't want to pay through the roof. But they're more concerned about having it hauled instead of being stuck with it. And I'll speak for my neighborhood, and that's Jennison Street on both sides. That's all I have to ask.
Okay.
Add.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kevin.
I'm glad to see the survey chose the service fee because I think the flat fee loses the option of going with a accelerated scale that Steve had came up. We're still heading in that direction. As far as the information has to get out there. But I think the service fee, the billing situation with water and sewer, I think we're close enough to start looking at giving that package to the council to get it rolling. But yeah, I'm glad to see the service fee.
You all set?
Yeah, thanks.
Steve?
To kind of mirror some of what you got in the poll, it seems like the same sentiment was expressed on like Facebook and other social media outlets. People were saying we didn't have enough information. I'm assuming that's why we have a good audience participation tonight, which I'm glad to see. The reason there wasn't a lot of information in that poll is because we didn't have a lot of information. We're still waiting for the RFP that we all know. Many people don't know that the town's going out for pricing. When we get that back, it'll help us with more information for the community. Right now, we're just looking to figure out what type of payment method might work. That poll wasn't a vote, it's not binding. But even within town hall, when I came in to drop off my survey, the clerk's office was confused. The folks in there by what each option truly meant. So there may still need to be some more outreach before people can truly know what we were getting at.
Right.
Maybe it's something we put in a deeper description on the website for each option, what it really meant in a paragraph form, not just a one sentence form.
All right.
That would be important.
Anybody else? So I would just have to say that that is true. Excuse me, we just didn't have enough information to put a cost on there. This is just a preliminary, see what mechanism that you would want to use to pay for this. I think as we go further and we come up with a cost estimate or a rate charge or whatever we're gonna do, then we can maybe send out another mailer explain to people exactly what we're planning on doing.
Right,
Right now, it's kind of like the early stages of it.
Sure.
right.
Mark.
The response has been very good so far,
yeah.
I add, so just a week's time.
I think, good, bad, and indifferent, most people didn't, they were confused, they didn't know there was no money on there. But I think our actual overall goal was to have more than one person sitting in the audience, which, upset, happy, or indifferent, we accomplished. The fact that,
True.
people found out, a lot of people, I'm telling you, I was surprised. A lot of people had no idea we no longer have a landfill.
Okay. Go ahead.
There was some discussion about the fact that the survey goes out to all the population. And a lot of what we've been talking about with a service fee on the water and sewer, maybe in the water and sewer, if we have the available figures, if we send it out in the water and sewer bill, it's going to go to those people who are gonna receive that on their water and sewer bill, so we get a better survey of the actual people that this is gonna affect, both single-family homeowners and landlords,
Although it will miss it, people
not
that
the
don't get water or
renters
sewer.
or, that.
I would disagree with that because I think everybody needs to have this
I think
mailer. I
the
mean,
survey-
I've had
the
someone
right
tell
is the
me
best place to do it.
that only property owners should get this, but
It's
you know.
true and it's different though, because if you take like a Wells or something like that, they're town residents, they get a survey, they fill it out. But Wells contracts their own trash.
Sure.
So that data that we're getting is skewing the system. I don't know what the best way is, but I can tell you that if you take some of those large properties that have their own trash, that have to legally have their own dumpster, that's probably enough information to sway the numbers.
But they do, if we go with a tax system, they would be paying taxes, so why shouldn't they have a say on this?
Well, I agree with that, but I'm saying as far as where you're trying to figure out like actual homeowners.
Yeah.
If it's taxes, it doesn't matter.
I did hear from somebody who lives at Tag, who said that they never got a mailer, a survey. I mean, the Tag, you know where the Tag, do you know where the Tag is? It's off of Teresa Ave up there.
But they should have,
They
if they
should
got,
have.
if they got the,
They got the census.
the
but not-
census,
census.
exactly.
but not
Yeah,
the survey.
and
All right.
you know,
could
we
look into
paid
that.
for that
Yeah.
to happen, for the printing and the insert into this.
I mean, it could have been just.
Just a mistake,
misfired,
or miss, you know.
All right, I could ask around and see if anybody else up there
Sure.
Right.
did
Let
not
us
get
know.
it.
Right.
I'm gonna let
Actually-
Anna speak first.
Well,
Go ahead.
just a question, because some of the folks are putting that it doesn't apply to them, they're sending back the survey and they're noting that this doesn't apply to them for various reasons, which we're marking in the comments on our spreadsheet. We could go back and take those counts out, I think, right, Jen?
Yeah, we could.
If it goes in-
I could see those comments, you're right, but we captured it all in our data to be representative.
But I don't know why you would take it out, they said it doesn't matter. so
If it
that-
goes in the taxes, then it includes everybody.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of those people are probably the people like, for example, at Wells.
Or
It
Rosemary
doesn't
or any
really
other
apply
places.
to them,
But what I'm saying is
but they
that
might be interested anyway.
it
Well,
wouldn't.
no, it does
it
apply to
wouldn't-
them. If it goes into taxes, they pay.
All I'm saying is
As
that it doesn't
renters.
matter because
They'll
they've
probably
said
jack up the rent.
it doesn't apply to us, so they did not pick A, B, or C.
Exactly.
No, they did.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, oftentimes they still selected one, but they said it doesn't really apply to me.
Oh,
Oh,
okay,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
all right, go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah,
Numbers
we-
skewed.
you're right.
Totally.
We need to narrow our choices here, and I don't know why we still even consider taxes as, the survey showed less people were interested in taxes than they were the flat fee or the service fee. And as I said,
No.
even the service fee,
No, most of them wanted taxes.
Taxes was the
If
number
you're
two
looking
option.
at if you're looking at the seniors, everyone I've talked to has said taxes.
Taxes.
Cause they just can't they don't get it and they don't
They don't
want
understand it.
No,
Yeah.
yep.
So do you mind if I let the residents, any of the residents have any
Yeah,
questions?
absolutely.
Go ahead, sir. Place, your name, please?
Bruce Wire back, 209
Hillside Road and Southbridge.
Thank you.
My wife Barbara. Yeah, when I got the survey, I was really happy to see it. But when it comes to finance, there was no dollar amount as you all spoken.
Right.
Because of that, I didn't want to fill out the survey right away. I saw the website. I went on the website and I saw that this meeting was going to occur. So I was going to ask the questions, why wasn't there any type of finance on A, B, or C? Now, this has to be, I think this is the most important question we have in town. Not the roads. We still drive on the roads whether they're bad or good. But this can go awry in a hurry
True.
of March next year.
This is true.
If I can give you an example, 1995, my wife and my mom and dad, we went to Ireland for a week, and it was the most cleanest country I've ever seen. I've traveled around a bit. Then 2000, we went with Bill Bishop to the St. Paddy's Day Parade. We landed in Dublin and took a bus to Shannon. The roads were filthy. We came back to Dublin. Every trash container on the street was full of trash overflowing. And I asked why. In 1 week, they were on strike. And we've been around this road for a while. So we know that other cities in this town, in this country, have had difficulties with trash pickup, especially New York City, the big cities. So we have to make this the easiest way for our citizens. For me, property taxes is the way to go. It's going to be clean. We'll know what it's going to cost. Sure, whoever we select to pick up our recycling and the trash is going to increase the price. We don't know how often. We have to find some way of putting that in the taxes. I think somebody said curbside pickup is the best way to go. It's the most efficient way for every citizen. I agree with that 100%, so does my wife. As far as flat fee and user fee, like that woman said, she has one Walmart bag. You know, we put out our trash every 2 weeks. Recycling every 4 or 6 weeks. I don't care what we have to pay, but we have to get it done. And whatever way is financially or expeditiously expedient for us, we got to do it.
Okay.
And the sooner the better.
All right, I appreciate it. Like I said, we are waiting for the RFP to come back to see how
You
much
know,
it's
and
going
what
to
Kevin said about putting information in water and sewer, that's not a bad idea. 100% to everybody, but when they get a notification in a bill, they have to pay attention to it because they got to pay that bill.
Yeah. All right,
That's all.
okay, thank you. Anyone else have anything? Go ahead, sir.
Just a question, Dave
Name?
Rochelle,
Yep.
okay, Lebanon Hill. What are the surrounding communities doing?
I
What's
believe,
Webster doing, Sturbridge, Charlton, Dudley?
Webster does.
did you want to answer? Go ahead.
Yeah, so-
Irene, this is Irene
Hi,
Congress.
I'm Irene Condon. I'm the Regional Recycling Coordinator for Central Massachusetts. So Webster has pretty much private subscription most of the community. They do have a small transfer station that's actually owned by Pratt Trucking, and people pay per bag to use the drop-off, but most people use private subscription. In Dudley and Douglas, they both have drop-offs, and people do drop-off, bring their trash there. They pay a flat rate to go there. Charlton is still on the contract because you've had with Casella. They're using the Oxford transfer station, and under their contract, it's almost like yours. It's ending. Theirs is November. This November, it is ending. So you guys have a few more months to go to March of 2024. They have access to that transfer station and can drop off 2 bags of trash a week in Charlton to Oxford's Casella's transfer station. But most people are using private subscription and they're paying, we've done that before, over $500 per household if you call a hauler to get pickup for your house, if it just the one rate.
Sturbridge is the same way?
Sturbridge has their drop off, which is a pay as you throw, but there are most people that are still using the curbside the private hauler pickup and paying $500 per household.
How are the towns that you just mentioned describing how the system is working that they're using?
Oh, and it's very expensive for the homeowners to pay the $500. Your program of having a curbside program, so if you go over a little bit, like East Brookfield, they have a town program where it's actually a three combination, like what we've been kind of talking about. People pay the flat rate, they pay a little in the taxes, and then they pay per bag, and they have curbside pickup for that. The other towns have drop-off programs. So some people, like in North Brookfield, 90% of the people actually use the drop-off because it's convenient of where they are. But that's a small town. The committee has already gone through a year of planning and saying, you have the 64-gallon carts on the road, you are going to continue a curbside program. So that was kind of already agreed upon last year. The RFP is for a curbside program using the 64-gallon. The discussion is how to pay like a multi-million-dollar. There's a bill, and Southbridge has just been. You got to think of, you guys have been blessed. I don't know if you want to put it that way. You have been lucky enough not to have to pay a bill. It's not on the tax base. You've had a landfill. You've had contracts. You've had workings that the resident hasn't had to put money out. The tax money hasn't gone out for a trash line item. But March of 2024, there is going to be a multi-million-dollar, close to $2 million bill that needs to be paid. So now we got to pay this bill. So it's going to be a curbside program. It's going to be like what you do. It's kind of the same thing. It's just now, how do we pay this bill? Are we putting it as one-shot taxes? A lot of people said, no, we don't like it all in the taxes. Should we all put it on a flat fee and does everybody pay this rate? Or is it multiple? Is it a user fee and you kind of pay for both? But even if you use a user fee, you still have a portion of that. Either a portion on the taxes or a portion on the flat fee or both. So that's what we're going to talk about later.
The bags would not cover the whole thing. So.
Yeah.
The bag fee would not cover the whole thing, so we'd still have to either have taxes or an enterprise
What
fund.
companies are available for the competitive bidding process that can do all these things?
Well, Casella is one.
Recycling, trash pickup.
Casella is one. Waste Management came to one of our meetings. They're available. As far as the Pratt came, they didn't come, but they did.
No, but
They are one of
there
them.
are several major haulers that.
I come in late, but what are the other alternatives? What are all
Hold
the
on.
different alternatives?
Hold
that you have
on. He
there?
has the floor right now, and then I will
Oh, I'm
call.
sorry.
I will call on you.
I'm sorry.
So we have different companies like Casella and Waste Management are the big ones. There's other smaller ones. There's also LaBeouf, I don't know, Republic. But we haven't sent out an RFP yet. And then as far as the bags go, I think we had Waste Zero come to our meetings, and I'm inviting them to come to another meeting just to talk about it. I'm not saying we're going that way, but I've asked them to come to one of our future meetings.
The RFP is the scope that the companies will bid on.
Right.
An
So that's the
RFP.
I've
initial.
noticed even with Casella, over the years, as time has gone by, the trucks have been replaced from 2 men on a truck to a single operator picking everything up. It's not gonna be feasible again,
Yeah, because they're becoming more automated.
The contract
And I
itself
frequently
is
see
for
two
remote
people
pickup,
contracts.
for automated pickup, I believe.
So the RFP is a request for proposal, that'll be going out pretty soon, and we should be getting, I've talked to the town manager, he said probably gonna take 4 weeks for us to get a final proposal, and then we will know how much it's gonna cost, and we gotta decide how we're gonna pay for it. So before I go to you, someone else, you had a, all right, okay, you're next.
Well, I missed a lot, I came in late, but can I just read, just a small paragraph or two here?
Sure, go
I
ahead.
don't know whether it has anything to do with the trash or not. But I'm a homeowner, and I purchased a one-family home 6 years ago. My property tax has increased $200 every single year for 6 years. I think that's outrageous, okay? Only 2 of us live inside this one-family home, me and my wife. We have no children for schools or anything else, okay? Sometimes I don't even put a barrel out. Other times I may put 1 or 2 out. very, very seldom, if ever, I have 3 barrels out there. Okay, but sometimes I'll skip and I'll have 1 barrel still the next week or just 2 barrels. Okay. I think the town somehow should go for this tab, okay? And I got an alternative for it that some people might not like here. One alternative is to I don't know how many people work in this city, for the city, okay? I don't know whether there's, well, you've got so many right behind that
I think
counter.
volunteers.
I
These
know
are
there's
all-
police officers.
These are all volunteers.
Oh, you're all volunteers. Okay, so you guys are all good guys, I guess. Okay, but there's police officers, there's I don't know how many people work in this town that get a fee, okay? But one alternative could be to reduce the town employees' pay. Or at the next pay level raise, or at the next pay raise, when they raise their pay, reduce it just $1 or $2 a week. $5 a month, whatever it winds up coming to, okay? And that should cover, and it will only cost very little from those people's pockets. You're talking about it, I overheard someone say $1 million and $2 million, I don't know, these are beyond my figuring out. But if you can figure out how many people work in this town, it may sound stupid, someone's laughing there, but if everybody gets, every one of them just takes $1 out for a week or $1 a month, and you figure out how much is that for the year, and just figure it out, how much do you have to get from every person that actually works in this town. I see some people work in this town and they're not doing anything. They're on the side of the road, so let me keep quiet on that part of the thing. So I think everybody can actually afford a couple of dollars. And that's my point of, that's all I have to say.
All right.
And I hope you consider this.
Thank you.
And that's one of the things that you consider.
Thank you, and I think that we have talked about possibly trimming the budget a little bit so we can save some money for this.
Once again,
Thank you.
2 in one family,
All right.
hardly put out a barrel, okay? That's all I wanna say, so, I mean, if I gotta pay the same amount as someone else, you're robbing me. I come to this town 6 years ago, I like the town. It's costing me a lot more than I thought it was gonna cost me, I got a full mortgage. I never realized how much this grass and these leaves were gonna cost me. But I can't do it myself.
Okay.
And that's a big expense for me.
All right.
I'm on it.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it. I hope you guys settle these things. and
So
I'll-
I just wanna tell everybody that we are looking at an estimated cost of about 1.8 million for garbage pickup. So we are trying to figure out,
1.8.
how we're gonna pay for this. So that's, we didn't put that on the flyer, but just so you know, that's what we're looking at. So we don't know what that's gonna cost each resident of this town, but we're working on it.
Each resident, see, that's not fair. When I have a house
Each
that's only 2
household,
people.
each household, I mean, sorry.
Each household.
I misspoke.
Yeah, but
It's
some
each
households
household.
have 15 people in it.
That's right, that's what we're
that's
looking at. So
considering
that's
that.
what
Or
we're
by
trying.
unit, say
Then
it's
why
by
do I
unit.
have to
By
pay as
unit.
much as someone that's got 15 people?
Right, so
We're
we're looking
considering
at,
that.
as she said, we're looking at cost per unit. So I misspoke when I said each resident, I meant each unit, so. All right, thank
I
you.
think it's
Hold
important.
on. Did you have something, Counselor Steve?
Oh, I was gonna follow up on
Supper.
this.
God bless
I
everybody
just wanted to
here.
clarify, sir, that several of us actually in this room and on this table are in the same boat that you're in.
What's
Not,
that?
I said several of us that are even at this table are in the same boat you're in. As far
Okay,
as
yeah,
we
well,
don't- we
good.
don't-
I'm sure
we
a
don't do
lot of people are.
We don't do a lot of trash production in my house either.
No,
And the issue is, we're trying to figure out how the best way to balance it so that everybody benefits without people getting
in
screwed.
that case,
Put
you
it
gotta
in-
go individually and
All
make them
right.
pay.
Thank you.
It-
Kevin, go ahead, Kevin.
It's very
A
important
group
for the
thing.
public to understand that another thing we're looking at is putting this money, any money that we choose to raise will go into an enterprise fund that can only be used for that specific purpose.
Right.
Picking up our trash. That's very essential. It works well with our water and sewer
Yeah.
contracts. And I'm hoping that the committee will sooner or later decide that, the enterprise fund will be the mechanism in which the money will never be used for anything but our trash pickup.
That's just one
Good
option.
luck to all you guys that,
Thank you.
us volunteers around
Thank you.
town, and,
Go ahead,
God
Mark.
bless you all.
I don't,
I hope that you remember exactly what I said.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
Have a good night, sir.
Have a good day, everyone. God bless you.
I don't know
Keep safe.
if it's, there is a partial misconception. If it, when we pay as we throw, it's also going in the taxes. They can't cover it as pay as you throw. You also can, you give the town or whoever another option to raise the price of the bag. So they can get your taxes and they can then raise the price of the bag to cover up a shortfall. If it all goes in the taxes, then if you only have 2 bags of trash like that gentleman or 1 bag, you're paying the same amount as the person that's using 6 or 8.
Not
So
really.
that's where we were
You're
at.
paying by your property.
Anything
You're
over
paying
a
by your
total.
property tax, so if you only use 1 bag, I don't care, I live in a ranch, just like this guy's explanation. I live in a ranch, he's 1 bag a week. Next door, they use 6. Their property is assessed lower, they pay a lower fee than I do. I'm paying more for my 1 bag than they're paying for their 6. And
Okay.
that's what we're looking at.
All right, thank you.
Um,
Hold on, Kevin. And you had your hand up?
I just wanna mention something. Taxes are too high here, okay? I'm gonna put it in perspective. We've come back to Southbridge after living in New York for 23 years. The tax rate that we're paying now and the annual tax we're paying now was what we were paying in New York in 1998. You can imagine what it is there now. I can tell you, but you wouldn't believe it.
All right, thank you.
All right, it took 23 years to catch up to what we were paying when we came back.
All right. Kevin, did you have something?
Yes, it's important, you know, we have the toters available to us. As a matter of fact, we have not only the full-size toter, we also still have half-size toters for elderly households. If we go with a service fee, a unit may have a full-size toter, the service fee would be one price. A unit, an elderly couple who can live with the small toter, maybe we could do that as a half of what a full toter would be. So it gives that flexibility for the people. One of the things we're emphasizing is we're all used to living within the size of that toter. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to have to buy a bunch of bags to put in my toter, because my toter is already the unit I have. So the way I'm doing it now, I buy my cheap bags, I put it in my toter. As long as I stay within that volume, I'm covered. Where we've been suggesting, if you want to have some additional, an additional, say an event bag or something like that, the town can generate a little more revenue to help the system by saying, if you're at Aubuchon's and you got, I mean, we all buy leaf bags that get picked up. This would be similar to that, only if it would be for additional trash that wouldn't fit in your toter. You'll still have to call for a pickup because the trucks were only made to pick up toters. But you'll still have the ability that if you need that extra volume, it would be there by just buying a bag at Aubuchon's. I don't want to overthink the committee, but that's all we've got your best interest in mind, and we're going to try to do it as efficiently and as low cost as we can.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Anna?
I just want to say to that, just bear in mind that we have a container restriction on our regulations that say each household gets 1 65-gallon trash container.
Right.
No.
Each unit gets one.
Okay.
Right, household unit. We don't have a provision in there for overflow bags currently, so, yeah, you just
All right.
want to keep that in mind.
Thank you. If there's nothing else, we're gonna move on. Oh, okay, go
I
ahead,
just wanted
sir.
to ask something. I just spoke with a friend of mine in Meriden, Connecticut. And I asked him how Meriden handles their refuse and recycling. He says we have to hire different companies. It's not unusual on his street to see 2 or 3 different companies picking up trash and recycling at different days and different hours of the day. We stepped over their house in January at 4:30 in the morning. I hear what I think is a plow, and I get up and there's no snow on the ground, so I asked my friend, he said, no, they pick up trash sometimes at 4:30 in the morning. I said, what did it originally cost you? He said, it cost me $30 a quarter, now I'm paying $80 a quarter. So that's something that you can consider, all of you can consider. You may see different companies on the street if we don't go with one company.
Well, that's what we're looking at, because we don't want to have everybody on their own. We want to have a town-wide curbside garbage collection. Hold on, Dave, I'm gonna let Maureen go first. You were all set?
Yes.
Okay, Maureen?
Okay, I have two quick comments. One, although I do consider myself aging, I am not elderly, and I would love to have one of those smaller bins, and I think everybody should be aiming for that. We should not be living our life according to our trash things. 64 gallons is a lot of trash. I think people need to evaluate how much they're throwing out. The other thing is, this gentleman, I could kiss him, because,
Which gentleman?
but yeah, we need to look at that, no, I'm being facetious, or not facetious, but, I don't know. But seriously, we need to look at how many town employees actually live in the town, and something needs to be done. I mean, the residents are paying for lots of things through our taxes, and if they're not benefiting residents, you know, I just don't think it's fair that, and then we have to pay all this money for the trash too, and we're also paying a lot for different things in the town hall.
All right, thank you. Dave? Counselor Adams?
I just wanted to mention what the gentleman was talking about. It's independent contracting. It's one thing that we don't want to happen, because then you're gonna have to hire other individuals, probably within the DPW and stuff like that, obviously paying for benefits to come pick up trash that shouldn't be out in the streets or whatever it may be. So that's the whole thing. In the independent contracting, one positive thing about that is that you can shop around per your unit or your house. But again, then it brings about, how do you verify I have a trash pickup? You know, or how do you, it's much bigger than just, and then at 4:30 in the morning, outrageous. 7 o'clock in the morning, I think, is our noise ordinance here in town, so.
That's what ours
But I just wanted
is,
to
7
say-
AM.
Yeah.
So we are trying to make sure we have one company that does town-wide. That's what we're working towards.
That's great news.
All right,
You know, we get so used to between 12 and 12:30 recycling comes.
right,
2 o'clock, I can look out the window, and I know the truck is gonna come by
right.
to pick up our trash every week.
Okay,
Those are all perks that we don't think about until it comes to an end.
Very true.
Yeah.
That's why we're having this discussion now.
okay, thank you very much. Anybody else?
The only thing I can tell you is if you're gonna have curbside pickup, in the property taxes, my personal opinion is you're on the right track.
All right, thank you, appreciate it. You, sir, your name?
Ron Blanchard,
Okay,
lives on Pleasant Street. Let me see if I get this right. Let's recap here. You're trying to debate or decide if you want to increase our taxes for this new trash pickup program or charge per bag. Is that correct?
we have 3 options. Either through your property taxes, an enterprise fund like your water and sewer, a pay-as-you-throw would be the bag system. I think we're.
Flat fee was really what you're talking about.
A flat
enterprise
fee, right. Those are the 3 options.
Are they gonna count? How are they gonna know how many bags I threw? Is somebody gonna stand there and look?
It would be by color, I think,
You
if
just
we go
buy-
that
Wherever
route.
you buy bags now, you'd buy, you'd buy town bags, like the
So
same
we're gonna have to buy town bags instead of using the bags we're using now, you're saying?
If
Well,
we decide to do that option.
If we
yeah.
decide to do that, we're not sure we're gonna do that, but it would be a colored bag.
Or a
You
sticker.
could still buy bags and throw it in that bag, which I think is kind of crazy, but you
And it
could
would be
do
in the
that.
taxes.
Right.
It would also be in the.
And they would
taxes.
have to be combined because it wouldn't be enough to cover the entire cost. But we're not sure we're gonna go that way yet, so,
I could.
hold on, I'll let him
Sure,
finish.
yes.
This is just trash. Now, talking about bigger items like, say you have a bureau or something or out there, that's a separate thing altogether.
I think so,
That's not
yeah.
really considered trash, is it?
Right.
That would be a bulk item,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure we're covering that at this time.
It would have to be a pay-as-you vote.
It would have to be an extra fee for something like that, which we're looking at starting a transfer station for things like that.
I mean, I look, even now, before all this takes place, when you start driving through the woods down there,
Yeah?
you see people throwing their trash out. You
I
see
know,
it.
yeah.
Tires, trash, TVs. It's like, really?
I live on your street, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'd like to see somebody put a camera up there and catch these people. Seriously.
Good idea.
That's a good way to raise money for the enterprise fund as well.
Are you all set, sir? You're all set?
Yes, I.
Okay,
thank you.
Steve, go ahead.
So I think it might be important because a lot of people here tonight, we've never actually broken this down out loud. So first of all, this committee had a specific charter, and please correct me anybody if I'm wrong, is the edict we were given was to figure out how to fund the service we have now, curbside pickup. We don't want that part to change.
Right.
We have different options available to us, which was part of what the mailer was all about.
Yeah.
Option A, property taxes. Now, I'm gonna say what that really means. If you've got a $500,000 house with 2 people in it, you're going to pay more for trash than a person with a $100,000 house with 8 people in it. So there's a difference there on where the load goes to haul the trash, regardless of how much you produce.
Right.
So I look at it from a single family home perspective versus the multifamily home perspective. That's what I'm looking out for. I'm not afraid to say it. Single family homes is my priority. I don't agree with the taxes, that's just my preference. Option B would be a flat fee. What that really means is a single family house or condo, I think maybe condo, don't quote me on that, will be a number to be decided. Number A, X, whatever you want to call it. A 2-family house would pay double that because they have 2 units, and so on and so forth as you go up in units. That would be what option B would look like. Mm-hmm. Option C would look like you buy the town-specific bag at hardware stores, grocery stores, wherever. It's a bag of certain colors, so we know only those color bags can be in the tote.
Right.
The price of the bag is going to cover some of the $1.8 million. It won't cover all of it, unless you have a $7 bag or a $3 bag or some crazy number. So there's going to have to be a second mechanism to pay, whether it's part of a flat fee, or partially in taxes, or really expensive bags, which I don't think anybody wants. That method, you will pay, the more bags you make, the more you will pay. But again, unless you want $3 or $4 or $5 bags, you're still gonna pay some kind of a flat fee and some kind of a tax.
Or some kind of a tax.
Or some kind of a
Either
tax,
or.
yeah, there's multiple ways to pay for this, but that's kind of what each option would look like. But in the end, we're still trying to keep the same service the town has now. Of using the tote, nothing changes, except maybe the day a week you're getting your trash on because the schedule changed, but it'll look and feel very similar to what we have now. Maybe the possibility of adding bags to a colored bag. And that was the real quick and dirty version. That might spark some questions, I hope it does. And please, anybody tell me if I misspoke.
I think that pretty much describes it, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Did you have something else?
Yeah, you were first, I guess.
Oh,
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
just real quick, maybe Steve or the rest of the panel can talk about it. You talk about the property taxes. It has to go in front of the voters.
Right.
It's a 2.5 override.
Yep.
Right.
And the
Right.
voters say, in June, then you gotta go to Plan B, right? So there has to be a Plan B if that ever goes through.
Yeah.
But also, can you tell me like options? Just so you do a flat fee, or you do a pay-as-you-throw program, optional. Taxes, not optional. Can you explain that a little bit?
That's correct. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pretty much describes it, yeah.
Yeah, no explanation. If you go with a flat fee, it's optional. You can opt out of it. I think Irene said that that's per law.
Yeah.
By law. However, you gotta tell us what you're doing with your trash. You can't just tell us, I don't want it anymore.
Right.
So,
That's a good point.
yeah.
Right.
Go ahead, sir.
You mentioned colored bags. curious about how the clear plastic bag program worked.
I don't think it worked very well, but I don't really know. Didn't work too well. Anna, let Anna answer this.
No, well, that actually predates me, which is, I've been here 20 years. But it was the concept was so that we could see whether people were recycling or not. That was the idea of the clear bag. Then there were questions about people's privacy being invaded and things like that. So even though it's still in the bylaws, it's in the bylaws, but it's not in the regulations, the Board of Health regulations. So we don't follow that requirement. So that's obsolete.
We should probably change
We don't
that.
expect folks to have clear bags.
Go ahead, Kevin.
As somebody who has been involved with curbside for a long time, and with the plastic bag that suddenly appeared and then really nobody followed it, and some people did follow it, and all during the period of having free trash pickup, which I refer to as the gravy train, our Board of Health, we had a growing, healthy Board of Health, but they were mostly focused on the landfill and keeping our streets clean and orderly. They've done a great job at working to make sure all our apartment buildings and everything meet code and everything. But as far as the curbside pickup, there wasn't a specific price the town was paying, so it was kind of like, well, everything seems to be all right, so we're not going to enforce the clear bags. You know, if we see a toter and it has 4 trash bags stacked on the top, Casella still picked it up, so we're not going to start. It takes a lot of enforcement, and enforcement costs money. So the town really didn't enforce that. And now we're getting to the stage where once this new program comes in, I certainly don't anticipate the Board of Health, the Health Department needing to crack down right away, but it will give them the ability to crack down on some of the commercial haulers who already leave dumpsters overflowing, because it's just as illegal for them to do that. And commercial haulers who don't provide recycling. Every commercial hauler in this town should have recycling total with their dumpster or within their dumpster. So there's a lot of things that we don't critically enforce on our citizens or our commercial haulers, but in the future, yeah, we're gonna have to crack down on this, that, and everything to keep our town clean and pretty and healthy like we want. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, you had your hand up?
Well, no, my name's John, same place, 334 Pleasant Street. I grew up around here. I'm confused here. You're talking about bags in the totes, the blue totes. All we have is 2 blue totes.
Right.
And we sometimes feel rolled up with the recycled stuff.
Right.
Then there's the wet trash in the black tote. Now,
Right.
well, I don't understand, you get me confused about bags and the
Well, it's a
totes.
way, a way to help pay for it. So
Okay.
you would buy bags to offset the cost. That's
So
all.
we wouldn't be using those blue totes?
No, you'd still be using
You throw them
it.
in
The
the
bag
trash.
would go in the tote.
Okay. Alright.
You would just have to
We're
buy-
just dumping always dump the loose
Well, that's
recycled stuff.
Well,
That's recycled.
Recycle.
Recycle is completely, that's gonna be covered, but it's not with the bags. You use recycle for recycle, the bags are
Okay,
for the
you're talking
trash.
about wet trash.
Wet trash.
Okay, that clarifies things.
Alright, thank you.
So you get the,
So you had your hand back there, ma'am? Could you state your name, please?
Yes, I'm sorry I came late, so I would like to apologize, but I have
Name-
a question.
your name,
My name is
please?
Evan Velas, I live in 26 Denison Crossroads.
Alright,
I have a question. I think maybe I came late, but I don't know if I hear correctly that you said that the town is looking for some money, some funds to help pay for this? Okay. If you get that money and the third option is increasing taxes, and that's going to be a combination of town funds and residents' taxes?
if it's through the taxes, then it would be paid by the taxes.
Yeah.
You are saying that can the town put some money, some funds in the budget to cover some of the cost of this trash?
Yes, but the money in the budget comes from taxes.
Yes, I understand that, but what I'm saying is all the money is gonna come to the taxes if we vote or we decide or you decide that it's going to be to increase the taxes, is that what you're saying?
Right.
So the money is gonna come from us, not really that,
Okay.
it's any way that you can do for some funds that is not true.
Grants.
Well,
Taxes.
I know at this
I'll let-
point, we are.
I'll let him answer.
We are trying to figure out the best way to actually fund these, whether it be taxes. I mean, we talked about the last meeting, the idea that we have some money left over in the landfill royalty fund, which wouldn't last for a long period of time, would maybe a couple of years. It would help if we were to feed that into some of it, like every year into the first couple of years
Okay, so
of funding this.
That's a good point.
But the issue is, of course, that any of these kinds of funds are limited because they're not recurrent. Once we spend them, they're gone. Whereas the issue of funding these taxes, funding taxes is a recurrent fund, which means that the service that we get has to go on for a long period of time. Because we can't pay for it, whatever system we decide to pay for it with. You end up having the situation where trash just sits on the streets or something, and none of us want that. None of us want to pay, none of us really want to pay a ton more in taxes either, because we're all residents too. And we also know that, being on the council, we also know that we have a bunch of other costs coming down the pike that we haven't even started to really look at yet. So none of us want to sink the residents because we're residents. But it's an issue of trying to figure out the best way to balance all of these conflicting needs and interests in the community without sinking us all.
So what he's saying is that we do have some funds
Yes.
in a royalty funds from our previous contract. We may be able to tap into that a little bit, but it's not gonna last forever.
Yeah.
So that's why we have to come up with another way to pay
Anything
for it.
can help, because I think that this time is sick and tired of the taxes.
Yeah,
Oh, we are.
We agree, I agree with
We're paying
you.
them too.
I agree with
We're
you.
paying them too.
All right, go ahead, Mark.
I need to go to another.
My question is, and maybe Councilor Adams or Gus or one of you guys can answer it, is in a year that will already have an override for, per se, the fire department,
Okay.
how do you get money when you already have an override for a specific item? How do you get an override for trash?
It depends on what our levy capacity is. It's a complicated calculation. That the state allows us to set an amount beyond what the regular tax rate is for these special projects, for these special things. With the fire station, it's legally actually a debt exclusion, which means we will eventually pay it off. With an override, it's permanent.
So you're
The
talking-
funds end up being coming from the same pockets
Well, that's what I'm
anyway.
saying, so you could have
We
6%,
recognize that.
you could be in 6% for the fire station, and then you would have to add more, it'd be more than that, right?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying.
Go ahead, Counselor Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So yeah, it is a debt exclusion for the
Yes.
fire station. So
I was just using it.
it's,
Right.
but it's gonna drop off, right? So we did that with Bay Path and a few other things. The 2.5 override, as Councilor Steves had mentioned, it is permanent until you do an underride. All right, so we have to go back and do a vote again, then take it back to the community, have them vote on it as well. So you just can't keep doing overrides because people
Right.
aren't gonna do it.
No, I understand, but
We
that's
can't
what I'm
afford it.
saying is, in a year where you would have a couple major projects and you're up 6%
Yep.
and you need more, it would go up more. No one would be able to stop it. You'd have to cover,
We have to figure some way to cover this cost.
that's where they would find the shortfall. You'd have to.
It could be.
Okay.
Yes,
It could be.
it could be.
You had your hand up?
Unless the federal government's kicking billions of dollars to the communities that they're not willing to pay for.
Right.
All right.
Take them out of the stupid
I'm gonna let him-
military
I'm gonna
budget,
let him
put
talk.
them in the towns.
Okay, I'm gonna you had your hand up?
This $1.8 million, is this just something that just came up, or is this an every year charge?
Every year.
Every year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if this is just something that just came after
It's an estimate,
then I would
It can be
suggest
more.
that.
it could be more, right now it's just an
$10,
estimate, but it could be
You
more.
could
We
wipe
don't
it
know.
out,
Yeah.
in one-time charge, $10 from everybody in town would probably wipe it out. Like the
Right.
This is a
deficit.
utility bill. It's like your electric,
Which
this
will
is
never wipe out the
your
deficit,
trash bill.
but.
All right, are we all set on this? Mr. Pulowski?
Steve, I'm sorry, I don't have your last name memorized. I like that you revealed your opinion fairly, and you fairly described the other options when you presented that. That's nice. People normally paint it the way they want it. That was fair. This gentleman's bringing up the plastic, clear plastic. Watching that from the floor, it was sad because it's not that the people that had the job of enforcement weren't doing their job. I think they actually were restrained from being too aggressive. And some of you may recall a little while later where there was talk about, I think a term, a loose term, trash police were.
Yeah.
I mean, this, I hope we learned from our mistakes. One of them is we rushed into a decision, gave away over $100 million worth of space for tens of millions of dollars.
I don't really wanna get back
Well, I'm
into
saying-
Last topic here.
old grievances.
This is where we're repeating the mistake.
Yeah, well, we're trying not to.
Entering into something, you don't even have the numbers in front of you.
We don't yet, but
And that's a gargantuan,
we're working on it.
it requires almost psychic ability
Yep.
to be able to do that without making those same massive mistakes.
Okay,
And I hope, and also, I respectfully beg you folks, when you start looking at quotes, to break them down almost a la carte, so that you might want to deal, for one reason or another, a different recycling company than the company that does the picking up. It would be nice if you could come up and devise a way to separate, when you're getting the bid for the municipal solid waste, where you have an option where, let's say the town makes a deal with a former town manager, we can get a really good price for disposal, instead of possibly paying twice as much because we're stuck in a contract.
all right.
Okay,
And
that's
it's
all.
something we have been looking at, so. Okay, if there's nothing else, all I wanna say is that the survey so far seems to be leaning towards a pay-as-you-throw and a property tax. That's the way I look at it.
Yes, Chair.
But we still have a lot more to go. Yep,
Can I
all right.
clarify some figures, Dan?
Sure.
You had given? Option A, which was the taxes,
Yep.
the number you had on that?
276.
276.
276.
Option B,
255.
255. Option C,
414.
414.
Correct.
so doesn't that mean that more people chose option C?
Yes.
But it's not going to cover the entire amount. That's what we have been discussing. So we are going to have to pick one of the
One
others
of the other two.
to go with it.
We can't even put this out until we have a number.
That's right.
We need
do
some
have to have
kind
a
of
number,
number,
so-
you
But
know.
I just wanted to wrap it up here. So far, this is what the numbers are looking at, okay? So can we move on now, or one more thing? Go
One more
ahead.
thing, whoever you select to pick up the trash, whatever company it is, are you looking for a 1, 2, 5, 10-year contract with them to keep the costs within a reasonable amount?
Well, what I've heard, I'll let you speak to that, Darlene.
Sure.
Irene or
We
Anna?
asked for a 5-year contract. The consultant that we're working with from Weston and Sampson recommended a 5-year because the cost is spread over the 5 years and there's a savings there. So that was his recommendation, so that's what we did. We put in a 5-year with an option of 3 1-year
Continuation,
extensions.
yep.
Or what was the word you used?
Continuation or extensions.
Extensions.
Extension's fine, yeah. All right. So, and you're going to send this RFP out pretty soon?
Yes, I apologize, I should have brought that with me.
Can you make sure?
By the end of the month, it'll be out.
Could you send that to us?
We just got
Well,
that
you
email.
just
We
sent
got
that
it.
to us, yeah.
I did, yeah.
I did send it to you, yeah.
And the
All right.
returns on it? When do you,
They do recommend 60-day
2 months.
turnaround. You know, in other words, put out the RFP and they have to return within 60 days.
Well, that's gonna be awful tight, don't you
Yeah,
think?
May, June.
yeah, can
Very
we,
tight,
Yeah,
can we,
yeah.
we have to come up with some idea in March, I think. I thought it was in March.
February.
Okay,
I didn't get
You know
it.
what, let me confirm that.
Okay.
I apologize, I didn't have that with me.
okay.
And can we add with the RFP, request for immediate, sooner than later? I don't know
You've
quite how to
got,
put.
you've gotta give a fixed time that
Right.
every vendor has, the same amount of time to put their
Right,
price in.
but will
We
they
can
all
choose.
agree to 30 days as opposed to 60 because of the circumstances?
That's the way it's written.
They don't agree, it's whatever we say. If we say
Yeah.
30 days, it has to be 30 days.
Okay.
Right.
So
Yeah. We don't negotiate when they're due.
Right.
give them
Do
3
when they're
days.
due.
3 days, I make a lot of decisions in 3 days.
3 days.
3 days.
They gotta sharpen their pencils a bit.
Mr. Chairman, could I just add
Sent
to
it.
that?
With the
So,
agenda.
just to clarify, it's
minutes.
not like, oh yeah, we know what we'll do. It's a whole,
There's
it's a
4
proposal, this is a big proposal.
Oh, it is here, okay.
So it's a couple $1 million
Right.
proposal. So they're not gonna just throw a number at it.
Yeah.
They're gonna look at the town, you know what I mean? There's a lot that goes into it.
It's a scope of work.
All right.
It's a scope of work.
Okay, thank you very much. We're gonna move on to agenda item number 5. Review, discuss funding mechanisms, although I think we pretty much covered that just now, but we'll talk about that if you want. If you wanna talk about your plan first.
Well, we can go and discuss what we talked about, so.
Sure.
Both of it, we met on, I don't know how much I wanna share, cause this is very preliminary and I think we have a lot of people here, so it's hard to share numbers because they are very fluid. You know, it's just knowing that how much tons we generate as the town, just so everybody knows, is we do 4,568 tons of trash for the calendar year 2022. And recycling was 1,253. The cost of per ton, you know, that's looking at what other communities have. The question was, hey, could we get a better rate someplace else if we did a contract? The contracts right now for other disposal locations are pretty much fixed, like Wheelabrator's fixed until 2027, so you gotta wait until you can get into those contracts. So there is a cost per ton for disposal, and that ranges depending on which hauler you pick, you know, of what rate they have. Recycling will also have a cost, and that also depends on the markets, and the town has to keep them in check, as it already has the recycling markets.net third party to just kind of see what's going on in New England, to keep the check, to say, hey, what are the rates, so we can be not being taken advantage of.
Right.
We do get a recycling grant every year, and then there's this collection cost. I kind of take an estimate, but altogether we kind of said the program's about 1.8 million. Recycling salary, we definitely want to have at least, Anna's position was no longer to be paid by Casella, it's going to be paid by the town. So how to fund that, as well as whoever's going to do the billing will be in there as well. The municipal costs, kind of put that as a question mark of there's a cost there, but we don't know. It just depends on the vendor. Sometimes it's kind of included in a price, or other times because of dumpsters and schools and how frequently they get picked up, it's separate prices. It depends on the vendor. We always want to get into education. Sometimes we'd always forget to keep that into a budget, but it needs to get paid. Sometimes it also gets kind of sneaked into a contract, and I think Casella was also paying a little bit for education in the past. Our hazardous waste program, that's a cost we're going to have to discuss, because that program will be ending, and how to pay for that. And I don't know if it will come through this type of program, or maybe, I know the fire department's getting a new fire department, but the big thing for hazardous material is if somebody has a fire and did not have a clean out of their hazardous materials, that car accident, that fire impacts the fire department, you know, of other. So there are sometimes other towns' budgets that can help to remediate. And there can be, we've all been appreciating of a free service. Sometimes we cannot always, now the bill is coming up, everybody has to pay a little bit. So there are towns that charge per household when they come to do hazardous waste pickup. Yep. And you can work that out as well. So that's a question mark. The billing service, we really need to make sure what that cost is going to be of how to do that. But just even getting it out there is going to be at least $2 per house, $2 per bill. just to get that out. So those are some of the things, like we're talking about, is the cost of the program itself. It is gonna be one cost. It doesn't really matter how it is funded. So the $1.82 million is how we're cutting the pie. So if we cut the pie, I wanted to share it with the counselors. It's very preliminary because of, you can kind of go that way, of, this is like what an all kind of, yeah, I have another one. Should have another one. So that if you did all, like the example is it's a little bit of tax, $400,000 of tax money, $100 flat fee, and a $2 bag. What would that kind of system look like? Well, if you go down into the middle area of the costs, the costs will be, those are the costs I just went over. Those are very preliminary because of, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought I had an extra one. These are things I'm taking a guess on because we don't have the RFP, but no matter what the scenario is, those are the costs. The revenue then could come in as the bag costs. There is a bag cost when you buy the bags. People buy bags anyway, but this is, the bag cost is the making of the bags, the inventory of the bags, the processing of the, having the retailer, collecting the retailer. It's a collection cost, so that includes everything. And then you have the cost for municipal billing. So the full program, which we kind of estimated about $2 million. So that's the cost. Now, if we're doing this 3 operations, what could be the breakdown look like? And I left the municipal open because whatever the municipal cost, I was kind of thinking, we're going to be absorbed. It's not going to be absorbed into this cost. It's municipal budget has to help pay for the school budget, has to somehow pay the school trash. We have a DEP grant that is higher because it does include a one-time grant in there of $126,000 if you go with the pay-as-you-throw. So there's an incentive in there for at least the first year to move forward. Taxes, $400,000. Flat fee with that $100,000, if using the 63,000 households, you get $630,000 would be added in there. And then the bag revenue comes in, is close to $1 million. So we would have $2.1 million coming in.
The bag, and how many bags do we need to sell for that $1 million?
This is using 45 gallons per household per week. So it's an average of 1.5 bags, and it would be $2 per bag. So I break it down, is what the cost would be is out of pocket at a resident for themselves would be $156. If they did 1.5 bags a week. If you only put out 1 bag every 2 weeks, then you'd pay less. If you put out 10 bags a week, but you really can't because you have the 64 gallons. But if you put in that 64 gallons, you can put in 4 bags of trash. Then
Let her finish.
So just in a scenario, this is a scenario, I don't want it to go too far out because these are estimate numbers. We do not have the RFP. It has not gone out, it has not come back, but we need some numbers to be able to play around of what the scenario could look like. So if you did 1.5 bags per week, a year you do $156. The out of pocket for the unit owner, so per unit would be $100. And then $400 in the tax base. So it's kind of like that's an all-in-one. And we can do different scenarios, and it's just breaking that apart. Well, then the money is going to be moved to, if you did a flat fee, it's $300. So that whole cost then is each unit has to pay $300. So then if you want to go with, you want me to go through the different scenarios quick? Or
Sure.
So if you, like I said, if you break it up, it's kind of $300. How do you pay for it? Is $400 in the tax base. I don't think we need to do an override for $400 in the levy that said that there was time. $400,000. Okay.
And it does need to be stated that if we do anything that involves selling bags, if we don't sell enough bags to cover the cost of the program, taxes are gonna have to kick in the rest.
Right.
Or an enterprise fund if there is some of that.
Right.
It's a blank check.
Well, but the enterprise fund still ends up getting funded by these other sources.
Yes.
Enterprise fund is just.
Well,
a
that's what I think we always
mechanism.
say is residents have to pay this cost. Either it's gonna be coming from one pot of money, or another pot of money.
Right.
The resident is gonna have to pay $300 for this program. It's just how to pay for it. Are you gonna pay it all in one shot, or are we gonna pay it in different disposal? Yes.
Okay, hold on. Dave had his hand up first.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just, you stated 400,000 out of the levy? 400K. I know this year we had about $1 million that we didn't tax upon. But the year before that, it was around 400,000, so it continues to fluctuate. So you have a bad year, we don't have that extra capacity.
Yep.
What do we do at that point?
Well, the one thing that we were also talking about is that if you're moving this to an enterprise fund, is maybe that other money can be in the enterprise fund, not actually, we were talking about using it as a, what's that word?
Seed money.
No.
Safety
No, you had
net,
a lead,
safety net or
Oh, if there was a way to take some of the money that's currently in the landfill royalty and place it into the enterprise fund that we would create and have it similar to water and sewer, where it would be in like a retained earnings.
Yeah.
Where it can't just be grabbed, it needs to be voted out and vetted before you could take from that in the event of a shortfall. It's just an idea we had when we were brainstorming.
Yeah.
Okay, are you all set?
I just wanted, last question, I promise. With the royalty funds, 3.9 million that we have, right? I just caution, because I know the other councils are up here, we hear this all the time. Litigation down the road, because of the landfill, you can't just take that all money and say, zero that thing out. That would be my concern as a councilor to vote on.
Right,
because you take that out.
if we have more contamination somewhere, we have to pay for it.
Donation, we're gonna pay for it out of pocket.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, that's all I've got, thank you, Mr.
I think
Chair.
that wooden insurance would cover that, but Dan?
In response to what Steve said about the bags, everyone pretty much knows what they're gonna throw out every week or every other week. I throw out a bag every 2 weeks. So in other words, with the bags, you almost pretty much gauge. In other words, people aren't gonna skimp on bags if they have trash to go. You know what I mean? That's because everyone does the same.
What I was getting at is, we estimate we're gonna sell,
Well, that's another.
just pick a number, 100,000 bags, and we only sell 50,000 bags. Now we have a budget shortfall because the revenue didn't come in.
Right.
So now it's gonna come out of town taxes somehow.
In this case, it would become, this is this option is an all, so you also have the per unit cost, the flat fee.
So the bag would go up too.
And the bag would have to go up the following year.
I think we gotta get something that's just stable, like, here's the cost, here's what it is, cause everything else sounds so unstable, like, well, maybe the taxes will go up if we have a shortfall, well, no, if we don't have a shortfall, then we'll charge more for the bag. I got, there's I keep hearing this $126,000 grant, let's buy the farm, cause that's what we'll do with the grant, I feel like we're gonna buy the farm. It sounds too good to be true, probably, cause it is.
Yeah. Kevin, go ahead.
I have a similar saying, this three-prong approach, like you said. If it's less than 2.5%, well, the taxes can fluctuate however you'd like, as long as you don't cross that threshold. The contract, the flat or service fee contract, well, if we're having shortfalls, now that maybe have to be adjusted. And all 3 points, I think it gets to a point where, well, we have a shortfall, now all of a sudden my taxes go up, I'm paying more in the fee, plus the bags go up. We feel like it's getting jabbed by a trident, all 3 spots, which is one of the reasons why with the service fee, flat service fee for just the toter volume, we can keep it as simple as possible. No buying additional bags, you use your regular bag, you stay within that volume, just to get us through this beginning phase. If you want to go to, in order to help reduce our waste costs and everything, in order to do that, we need to work with all 6,300 households. We need to do whatever we can to help all 6,300 households reduce their trash. We're not going to reduce their trash by saying your trash bag's going from $3 to $2. I fear that, that's why I keep emphasizing the service fee toter size, no additional trash bags unless you want, I don't know, if you wanted to go with, opting out of the toter and going, we go back to having trash bags on the sidewalk, and nobody liked that, if you remember. It's sooner or later a bag gets ripped open and animals are in it. We wanna stick with the toters.
Yeah, you are sticking with the toters, that wasn't a question.
I don't think we need to have everybody buying bags.
I think the fee, the fee, by the time we get numbers, cause that's the most ridiculous part, is that we don't have a number. By the time we get the numbers, 6,300 households on a trash program has got to be cheaper than one person trying to go out and get private trash and recycling. So even with that option, you give somebody the option, if they're upset, they're mad about the situation, you give them the option to opt out. If they wanna opt out and pay more, then, that'd be the only way you'd have a shortfall with one fee. That way, everybody you got a bill coming.
Right.
It'd even be more stable than a water and sewer, because you have the number in front of you. This is what we need to come up with. It's in the RFP.
What you're saying is like on the option B method, the flat fee method, we would never, practically never have a shortfall, because we would always make sure the fee would cover the contract cost.
Yeah.
Right.
You would never say, well, we gotta go hit the tax rate.
And you would allow our Board of Health to actually police landlords, homeowners. They wouldn't be chasing down the ladder.
So Irene, the way I'm looking at what you've got here, and I'm just looking at it right now, a lot of numbers kind of numbing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's why I was trying
No, that's all right.
to give you
So
what, I
what
had to
you're-
put some
you're-
kind of numbers in there.
You're talking about all three.
This isn't all
This
three.
is
I
all
have other options. I just wanted to show.
I
This is
think
the
that the
all three
bag-
because it's just if you take that out, or take one thing out, then something else increases. So like I can just give you the example is if you did a flat fee and everybody's paying the same. We were talking about a graduated system as well. But if everybody's paying the same, it would be $300. So if you put out one bag every other week, if you put out 5 bags a week, it's
But
$300.
just so everybody's clear, a single
64.
family home would be 300.
Right.
A 3-family would be roughly 900. It's that kind of scale. It's not 300 for the small house and 300, not, for the
It's not
gigantic
per property.
It's per
multifamily
unit,
house.
per unit.
Yeah.
So
Per unit.
we're kind of,
I think that the bags here is, I think that's a little high, your
Uh,
estimate,
Actually, that's really, I don't think so.
really?
Yeah.
One
Okay.
cost.
1.5.
All right.
The other thing is like if you went with, I think the flat fee was that, but if the flat fee with taxes, then like in some ways it's just the per unit would just be $250, but that's you're only saving. But then there is still a tax cost. If you'd go with taxes and pay as you throw, if people really wouldn't see the taxes because that's still in the levy, it would be a little more, about $650,000 in the taxes. But each resident would pay about, what is that? That's $250 a bag. Almost $200. So there is still, we're talking about this $300. It's just depending on how you're cutting it up. If you did a flat fee with a bag, then it could just be $2 a bag, and the household, depending on what you use, you'd use that. So, but on average, if you use the 1.5 bags, then that would be the $156 a year, and that's it. Is depending on how much you buy, and then you just pay $150 per unit.
Per year?
Per unit per year, and so that one, it keeps it off the tax base, but it also makes it a little fair, and you get grant support for that. But it's
And we work to help people keep their
Price
bags,
down.
their bags low.
So you wanna give us that copy too, or? you
I
know
can. I was kind of waiting. I didn't know if you wanted to give what the gradual price is of 300. I don't know if you had it.
yeah, like I said, I've kind of already spoken to it, that I'm more in favor of option B. When I first started out, I was all about bags. I thought it was fair, because me and my wife make a bag a week. I'm like, I just want to buy a bag, and then it'll be cheaper for me. And the more I dug into it, the more I started to warm up more towards the flat fee system. There's a couple different, again, we can structure, how do we want a flat fee system? Do we want it truly flat where if it's, say it's 300, and then 2 families are 600, 3 families are 900. Personally, as a single family homeowner and living in Southbridge my whole life, I would like to see out of town for-profit landlords take a little bit bigger piece of the pie here. I don't know who agrees with that. I don't know how we would graduate that scale so that we're not crushing them, but
But you know they're just gonna pass that on to the renter.
I understand that too. I understand that too.
Alright,
But, you know, there's, if, depending even which option we pick, there's a subset of different options within that to set the rate. There's a lot to it. But I think, personally, I think a lot of people that voted for C in the poll maybe feel like I did 6 months ago. And if they came here and listened to get the facts, personally, I think they'd be more in favor of a flat fee. But maybe if people watch the video after and learn and reach out to anybody on the committee and start, you know, call Dan, tell me you wanna change your vote.
No,
You
no,
don't
you
wanna
can't,
post-
please do not post
Okay.
that. This is all these numbers are guesstimates.
Right.
We do not have, but I normally would hold it long, but we need to make decisions, we need to keep moving forward. So if the committee here, you know, a lot of people did say a user fee, so when you talked to me about bringing up the user fees, this is how a user fee works, is
So
the
user fee, flat fee is the same thing, correct?
No.
User fee is pay as you throw.
User pay is by bags.
I'm getting
It is
confused
You
now.
gotta keep our
Alright,
terminology
I got it.
squared away.
Yeah.
Alright,
Yeah,
got it,
a
gotcha.
flat fee would be, you have your utility bill and you get it per household unit, per unit. And then a bag cost is your user, you put out 1 bag every 2 weeks, you put out 1 bag a week, you put out a kitchen bag a week, you put out 4 bags a week. You pay for what you
Each
use.
bag, yeah. Alright.
And that's you going wherever you buy bags now is that kind of program.
Alright.
So that is those type of options. If you want, you know, the in between of that, of, you know, the residents right now kind of said that they liked the taxes with the bag fee. That is one option, and it's like it's just how much can get into the levy. It'd almost have to be at $2.50 per bag. That is a little high. That's why if we did the other one, it was just $2. You know, it normally goes with a cup of coffee. Whatever you buy a cup of coffee should be like what you'd pay for the week for your trash. You know, to get rid of that cup of coffee. If you had the flat fee and a pay as you throw, it's up to you. It'd be $2 a bag. So whatever you do, if that bag is once a week or if that bag is once every other week, then that's up to your household of how you have control over that cost. But then the other cost of the flat fee is $150 a year. You got to pay for that.
And the size of the bag? 33 gallons.
Yeah.
That's a big bag.
Yeah.
My wife and I would probably just buy 1 bag.
And you
My
put it on
neighbor-
your wall too, because
My
if you want so
neighbor
much.
has 5 kids live with him, he'd probably use more than 1 bag.
Yeah, right.
And life changes. It goes up and down and up and down. Every time my mother comes
That's
home,
right.
comes
I
to
get
our
it.
house,
I get it.
we have just a trash bag for her.
My neighbor's got kids in school, I don't, but I'm still paying
I'm
the
still
same.
paying the school.
In this time of year with a 35, it's not a bad idea to, okay, I use my typical kitchen trash bag because I have a volume left over. I take it out to the toter and I put it in my pay-as-you-throw bag. So this time of year, having 2 or 3 pay-as-you-throw bags in there, I'm not gonna close it up and put it out curbside. I'm gonna say, oh, wait, which is all well and good. But there's a man sitting down there at the end of the table that in the middle of July is not gonna want somebody saying, oh, I still have room in there, closing it up and waiting until it becomes a health hazard.
If you wanted to do 2 size bags, we can do 2 size bags.
Well, that would help.
So we have that. I was not going with that. I wanted to find out what the big base thing is. Last time we came, you said flat fee, and that was it. That's all you're talking about. Last time I came, you gave me all the numbers. I bring you some numbers.
No, we wanna look at all.
And now I do have the numbers of what it would be of 2 size bags, and if you did.
I'm gonna let the gentleman back here ask a question.
Thank you. I have 2 questions. Are all retailers gonna be selling these bags?
You normally ask around, so like I have give you the best example. Most places, when you ask them, they say no problem, is like, because it's a commodity. You've now created a place where everybody has to come to, because everybody needs to get to the bags. So the convenience stores, the supermarkets, the hardware stores typically say yes, because when you come in, you're not only going to buy the bags, you'll probably buy something else in the store. So they are typically have no problem.
That's good to know.
And
Thank
then the company we have on state contract deals directly, so it's not an added thing for town employees to make arrangements for the bag. So that's why it kind of helps of, this is a new funding mechanism. It's not only you're getting like your black bags and white kitchen bags now, wherever you get them. This is a way of getting funds, but for how much you use. You buy a roll. So you don't buy one at a time.
Right.
You buy a roll of 10, and that 10, you know, if you need more, then you buy another roll of 10.
Okay, retailers and wholesalers are opportunists. Is there gonna limit price gouging on these bags?
This typically has not been an issue at all because you put the town seal on it, so they can't get it from someplace else. They're getting it from whoever the town has a contract with, and those are the bags that need to be picked up at the curb. They can't make their own or do, you know.
Okay, thank you.
And price is set.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Steves, did you have your hand up?
Oh, I did, actually. While I was listening, I was kind of playing with a couple of numbers here as far as the taxes. And with the figure you have here at 650,000 on this sheet that Steve just passed out, that comes down to roughly, based on our current tax rate, that comes to roughly 50 cents per $1,000 household value.
With the options.
But the number I started with the number that you had originally thrown around, the $400,000 in the tax base, that comes to about 28 cents per thousand. So a $2 million bill at that rate adds about $1.50 per thousand to your taxes. So for a $200,000 house, that's about $350 a year, which is only slightly higher than the figure you had suggested of $319.
What's the medium house value?
I don't know what the exact median is. I just used 200,000 as
Average
the number that I was basing it
single-family
on.
home is $3,600 a year, which breaks down to $300 a month, which basically every single family, somebody living in the average single family home wakes up every morning owing the town $10.
The median value of homes in Southbridge have skyrocketed.
Oh, they have. That's
I don't think it's 200,000.
Rent has gone crazy.
No, I was just
Absolutely
using
not.
that.
Like
I was just
three.
using that number to calculation.
I would say at least 3.
You're probably
Okay.
right.
All right, hold on.
I
You
was
all
using
set?
that. I was just using that number for calculation.
You all set?
For the moment, yes.
Okay.
the
Go ahead.
assessor wanted to
I'm gonna
weigh in,
let
too.
Kevin go next.
Is there any reason why we like the enterprise fund because it keeps the funds right there for that purpose, for the curbside pickup? But why can't we just pick an arbitrary number for the first year to say $3 million? It's an oversize, but we know it's gonna give us the ability to keep the service as it is. And then as we go down year 2, year 3, the contract doesn't change, but if we see our operating costs, we can lower in other words, start high, and as the program progresses, that additional funds will
I don't think
mellow
you
up.
can do that in an enterprise fund, like the water department, we can't just purposefully overcharge to build
Right.
kitty.
Nor can I
I'm not saying overcharge, I'm just saying
But
we
if
start,
if we know the bill's gonna be 2 million, we can't purposely charge 3 million.
The cost
I
has
don't
to
think
be
that's legal.
But we're
decent.
Can't be a
We
cash
have to
cow.
we're gonna be,
the
we're
cost
gonna
has to
be
be
starting,
reasonable.
Right.
we're gonna be I was hoping we were gonna look at the idea of starting to collect funds at June or as soon as possible to get that head start, the fluff factor in before we hit March 2024, but I'm
If I
overthinking
could
that.
have
Go
one
ahead, Mark.
question.
Yeah.
So I'm up for any option. My only question with the bags is, what happens if there are none? If there's a shortage? Because I mean,
I
chickens,
just haven't even seen that. Worcester, I've never heard that has.
in
having an
Worcester,
issue.
but we're Southbridge, that's the problem. I mean.
I'm just saying that they use a lot more.
Chickens stop laying eggs in the
He's right.
United States, so I mean, worse things have happened. I'm just wondering what happens when there's no bags, like, where's the trash then? Like your
You can
neighbors?
do a sticker program. I'm just saying, if there was a worst case scenario
How
at all
fast can you
places,
create
this
3,800 stickers?
Well,
no, it's
He
it's a
wouldn't be
call.
doing it.
It's
a
a
company.
yeah, because I've had that in different things, but I've never heard that actually.
Okay.
But I know the economy is, but we do have some communities, they are most, at this town of Maynard still is a curbside program with stickers. I normally would not promote that. You also have a cart, so everybody has a cart.
Like a weight?
No, so it's, it'd be hard to see a sticker.
Could you do a weight program?
No,
No. all
no.
right.
Recycle bank, remember recycle bank?
But the trucks, they do have a weight.
Yeah, I know, but it changes, you don't really wanna be that.
Okay.
We don't wanna have, we're having a problem with just one billing, we don't want multiple billings.
All right.
Right.
Counselor
I
Adams?
think
Well,
it's
actually, that was
accessible.
answered, but I do know Rachel's been having her hand up.
Oh, all right, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rachel.
I was having a conversation with a resident who had received the survey, and he brought up a good point that I told him I would address if I had
Go
the
ahead.
opportunity to come here. He's a landlord, and he was wondering what his responsibility would be as a landlord for that tenant that is in there. And then I kind of been talking to him, thought, what happens with these out-of-state, or out-of-the-area landlords with the bag program? Because technically, my understanding, and his understanding, was that the landlord is responsible for trash removal. So what happens if you have non-present landlords and they're not providing bags to these residents living in their buildings? I was curious how Worcester handled that, and I wanted to confirm that it was true that it is the landlord's
That is per state sanitary code,
That's what I
which is the
thought.
housing code, the owner is responsible.
So that was a
for-
concern I had, so I was
It-
like, wow, well, we have
To
a lot of
justify
rental
concern,
units in
yes,
this
yes.
community.
That's what, we should talk to Worcester, I've never had that, because they've had it for so long, that I think people are so trained of getting their yellow bags that you really don't, haven't seen that, I wonder if
how
a
many
landlord
hours
has a
the area
particular
landlord?
thing to say, give you a gift card to go to this store, and it's already, you already have it
Right.
paid for, just go there, but they go and decide to get gum instead of the bags, I don't know.
Because they have to buy them in bulk for their tenants, and they pass out bags every month, you know? Like, how do they handle that, I was curious. Like,
Yeah.
in the bigger cities.
End up in somebody else's.
So what is the
My
answer?
community has to go with the bag.
What's the
but
answer to her
it's a
question?
small bedroom community, so it's not.
I can give Worcester a call.
All right.
Yeah.
So you don't have an answer yet for her? No,
I'll
okay.
check with
All
Worcester.
right, thank you. Mr. Pulowski?
Yeah, something I've noticed that I don't understand how it works, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But sometimes when money is exchanged for a service in this industry, municipal solid waste, sometimes they're talking weight, sometimes they're talking volume.
Sure.
Bag tends to be volume.
Yes.
Sometimes the bags don't hold the weight.
Right.
And I was thinking fondly, a short-term program we had here, it wasn't perfect, I didn't like it at first, but I liked it, recycle bag. They weighed, it wasn't by volume, they weighed, it didn't seem like high-tech. They had a ID on each container, and there was weight. This way we don't have to worry about that extra stuff of bags. It could handle, like, let's say I have a 6-family tenement, we might come up with another like mini dumpster where the tenants reduce their amount, the landlord pays, you're talking about simplification, 1 bill. I don't know if it would be 6 bills the other way. To me, it really isn't. I spoke with Recycle Bank a lot after they left. It seemed to me to be a way of handling this where, at least on what looks right now to be a very complex, it's hard enough when you don't know the prices are going to be.
Right.
But it might be a way of simplification. We don't even have to talk about the town. Yeah, the town might have to pay here or there, for example, an irresponsible absentee landlord. Maybe the town would have to eat that, and the taxpayers would have to eat that. But you just keep it simple, you pay for what you use.
Okay,
Okay? Just-
that's what we're looking
You
at.
should look at every single option.
All right, so does anybody have anything else on this? Thank you very much for these numbers. I'm gonna take a while to take a look at them and digest them.
There's a lot to digest.
Yeah, well, we were just talking about.
But I
how
think
to-
as Mark says, the key is we need the proposal.
Yeah, you need the numbers to put them in here, and then what are there's just some holes in there, but it's just, still comes out to, it's a pie and it needs to be cut up, so
Right, yep.
the resident is gonna pay the pie, it's just, are they gonna pay it in one shot of $300 and you're gonna pay it in a flat fee? And can everybody handle that, and are they gonna be okay that one household only puts out once every other week, while another house puts, the whole container is completely full every week?
Okay,
You know, if they're
Yeah.
okay with that, then the $300 definitely is the simplest thing, and you don't have to worry about the tax levies and stuff
Right.
like that. And if the rate goes up, the rate goes up, and you gotta keep on inching it up, because the costs have gone up.
all right, thank you.
But
One
sounds
fee,
good.
one cost, done.
You have another question?
I'm just thinking about the total, you mentioned the whole total, $2 million a year, 6,300 homes in the area. If you could get the cost down to, this is the selling point, it's gonna cost you $5 a week for your trash pickup, or $10 a week, whatever it's gonna mean to people, so they know actually what the cost is gonna be to them on an individual basis every week.
Okay,
Instead of the abstract numbers floating around.
I agree, thank you.
we'll get that when we get the RFP.
When we get the RFP, yeah. All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 6, although I think we've covered a lot of this, update on RFP draft template and billing ideas.
Nothing there.
No.
I-
Go ahead.
I can bring it a little bit. We talked a little bit about the billing issue at GenGov last night.
Okay.
And it's gonna take a lot more work than we think. Primarily and Rachel was there too, so she can chime in. But Francine in her office pointed out that at the moment, we can't yet determine whether it would be better to do in-house versus out, versus contracting it out. Partially because she was commenting on the fact that one of the issues that we didn't consider when we previously had the session is the way the billing software works. And she was concerned about that because of one of the things is that right now, the unusual billing that we do now is the airport billing, which is there's only 43 of them. And and the way it's set up is that they have to re-enter that every time they bill it, but they only do it once a year. If I understood what she was saying. And so at this point, they would have to add in 6,000 recurrent bills, like every cycle for the trash system as it is now. So the system would have to be updated in some serious way.
Has somebody talked with the software person?
She is in the process of doing that,
Needs
yes.
to be done
She's doing
to the next level that includes trash billing.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
the version of Munis we're on would do it.
Exactly, at this point, yes.
And we're still looking at outsourcing.
We spent a lot of money on Munis and it won't handle this?
You would think it
Program
would, but
for it.
it's not
So
programmed.
which we're having technical difficulties anyways, because we're currently on a different level than cashiering, so our communications are off. So we're having major issues between the bill files going and what they're reading in collections, credits rolling, I mean, it's a nightmare.
Okay.
And so we need to upgrade regardless.
Useful than
It's something we're gonna need to,
be.
that's something we're gonna
Utility
need to
is
know, I
very
would think.
complicated
If we wanna do an
billing system. It's not like
RFP,
real
correct?
estate.
We wanna know how much it's gonna cost the residents, we're gonna need to know billing too.
Well, and obviously this will be treated as a utility, so.
Correct,
So
and
that would be an
utility
issue.
billing is, there's just so much more involved
Right.
than the real estate end of it.
All right, hold on. Go ahead.
Is there
You're all
still
set?
discussion with the general government and the
Oh,
government
yes.
itself
Oh, yeah.
about
In fact, we're gonna.
combining all their billing issues?
Well, I'm gonna be I'm planning on setting up a meeting, a GenGov meeting, a one-item meeting specifically for this, so we
Yes,
can kind of
thank you.
hash out the real needs that we have. But that's gonna probably be a little more complicated, as I said, than we think it is.
Before we
So,
can do it,
we
we have
need
to get
ideas.
prices and,
Yes.
yeah.
And we need to be able to compare the cost of in-house versus out of the house.
It's not just a matter of asking them,
Not ju-
the
it's not that
ambulance,
simple.
Are you gonna be on
the
that?
ambulance billing service to say, oh, by the way, here's water, sewer.
Let Gus finish while you.
And
Thank
that's, let me see. At the moment, and so I did briefly throw the idea at Charlie Blanchard, who's coming in as our interim town manager. He said that he hasn't had a lot of experience creating new billing systems, but he is willing to look into it. So we're definitely gonna have to sit down and talk in a lot more detail. I only had a chance to talk to him very briefly about it. And that's kind of where it stands at the moment.
How do any other towns do it?
For
Billing.
Billing?
the billing,
How
so
does Sturbridge do it? How does Charlton bill? They have utilities.
Good
They
question.
charge residents. What's the deal?
We're gonna have to look into that.
I
Are
say
they
how to do-
outsourcing or are they Doing it in-house.
You know, I'm wondering what they do. I mean, they even have a transfer station,
Charl-
so it
yeah,
goes
but
even
Charlton
further.
has
They have to
independent.
charge some kind of something.
Exactly.
The transfer station cost actually is pay as you throw
So
and things, so there's not
Webster
subs-
and Sturbridge also have Muse for billing software, but they have private hauling.
Yeah.
So they're not doing trash.
Right.
Oxford is private hauling. They wouldn't have billing for trash.
Right.
Charlton's private hauling. They wouldn't have a billing system for trash. So none of our direct neighbors are doing it.
I think it was Holden that she found.
She did.
She
Yeah.
talked about that, yeah.
Francine had papers
That
that
bills,
Jen
that
got.
bills, yeah.
She
Yeah.
had done some research, but because we were nowhere near being able to.
Yeah, I'm just
see what other
wondering, I
communities-
mean, what they're using, like the software, the program, is
Munis
it the
was
same?
the program.
It was,
Yeah.
There was two,
Yep.
Webster and Holden, I believe, were using Munis.
Munis.
That's what she said, yeah.
Yeah,
But upgraded from where we're at right now.
it's just because that trash
Mhm,
element,
mhm.
right?
Right.
So if we didn't upgrade, she manually would have to enter them in every year.
Ridiculous. No,
But you're gonna
understand.
have this meeting soon, when's the date for that?
I haven't said it yet, but it's gonna be soon.
Yeah, this was late last night.
Yeah.
Really?
It doesn't matter, I can't do anything for 6 weeks anyway.
Well, it's important,
But it will be,
Oh,
it
no, we
will be
need to
soon.
hash this out quick.
so we know the cost.
Well,
I know,
no,
we
but
we
even
need
if
to have
we
a
still-
system.
So we have all,
Even if we had the cost of that,
Addresses
we're
still?
still,
isn't there still some assessment work that needs to increase the, rolls for the 6,300? Do we have the 6,300
Yes.
units?
The information you sent me,
In the
Rachel.
Actually,
We do have an
I forgot
updated-
to include the condos, so.
Okay, we do have the updated information
Okay,
on
so-
units.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, are we good on this one?
One thing, I'm sorry, just to back up one agenda note, maybe you can answer this and work with Anna, is 60 days too generous of a timeline to give for the RFP to be returned? Just maybe you've seen RFPs for trash come and go, can we get one in 30 days, is that common? Maybe you don't know, and that's a good answer too.
I know, it depends, you really don't have that many things changing, in that you're not adding carts, you have an established program, it should not take the haulers that long, to say that you have.
I know they didn't give us 60 days on the water contract.
A related question.
But I think, cause you have it
Okay,
5
hold on.
years down, the longer they can think about it, maybe they can
Yeah.
sharpen their pencils
It's
more.
true.
All right, you good?
I'm all set, thank
A
you.
related
Kevin?
question, what are the chances of anybody but Casella winning this contract because they know our business so well?
I don't know how you
They've been
answer
doing
that.
it for 20 years.
I don't know how to answer that, no.
But there's,
the RFP is a scope of work,
It's a-
everybody
it's a
bids on the
public
same
bid, yeah.
scope of work.
Yep.
Okay,
alright.
So that's it.
all right, so let's move on to agenda item number 7, okay? Okay with everybody?
Yeah.
All right, continue senior and landlord education with Irene Condon.
Yeah, we gotta keep on working, when's the plan to meet up with the landlords and the seniors? There is, we just did this big education, it's great that we had a group here, so we have to have a timeline of keep on getting the word out
Thank you, everybody.
to people, so you have, the people that are on social media are typically not seniors and not landlords.
Fair assessment.
So that's a group of people that we're missing, and that's why we wanted to make sure that there are on the agenda of how to reach them, and because that was the big question that you had is, the landfill closed, we are gonna have a $2 million about new bill, I think, and we have a committee and we're working on a solution.
Yeah.
I think that was the part of that,
Yeah,
And-
I would concur. And just underscore that the data that we have, where residents, from what we've already received, predominantly, it is the information being received through mail, above all.
Yep,
It really is.
yep.
oh, because they went through the census, so that makes it
Yeah,
an easy thing
and
as
then
you bring the
secondly,
census.
it's social media. And no surprise nowadays.
Right. But so the connecting with, I don't know if we start just having a flyer, maybe a short version of the survey that can go out to the landlords themselves, of just being, this went out, I want you to be aware of, because I don't think the landlords that are outside of town, I don't think they did get the mailer.
Probably true.
They didn't even get the memo.
Anna wanted to respond?
Yeah, unless they lived in the household
Right.
Yeah.
in the apartment.
There you
However,
go.
in November, I went and
No
spoke with
effect
the
on absentee
landlords
landlords.
association.
They weren't-
I
No
went and
effect.
spoke at their meeting and let them know what was happening.
Go on, focus
So,
on Southbridge and try and
They
answer a few
are-
questions.
You know,
Aware.
those that are
Consider
there, at
defend.
least are aware.
Do they have a newsletter or a mailer that hits all the landlords in town? I mean, that could be.
Out of the landlords association, I can ask.
Because that might be a thing, is it might not just be, you did a presentation for the people that were there, but now that we have some data, just to say, hey, we did a survey, we want you to be aware of the landfill closed, it's coming up soon, we're gonna have to pay $2 million, we are coming to work, have a committee and working on a
And want to
solution.
do any more mailing, considering everybody wanted some more information about costs?
Well, we don't know
Wait,
costs
we don't-
until.
We don't know yet,
Probably
but
will
do
at
we,
some point,
but do
yeah.
we wanna wait on the mailers until we know?
Well, I wasn't
costs?
thinking of a mailer for this, I was thinking of just adding into their existing newsletter.
Okay.
So the association has a newsletter, and if we just put like a little blurb in there, a little paragraph that came from the top, top area of the survey,
Okay.
Okay.
and it's just that top, and that can also go in maybe the seniors newsletter.
Yeah.
Just to being like, oh, if you missed this, there is, the landfill closed, there's gonna be a.
You could go down to senior center, you've been down there.
I have not been down there, but I know the town administrator did go there also in, I think,
Kathy
January.
goes there.
She basically lives there.
Works there.
You could, bring it
One
to
of
the-
your jobs.
You
there.
could go right
That's
down
my
there and
real
have a
job.
lunch and talk about it.
I can,
That's
if
not a
you
bad
guys
idea.
want, I just, if we have more of, the
have to-
data, I think when the data comes through, that would make it
Not a
more
bad idea.
of doing a show.
We could figure something
I won't be
out.
able to go down because
There's
I
a lot
gotta
of
work
people
extra
that
just
belong
in
to
case
the
it ends
senior
up in
center,
taxes.
What'd you say?
You're too young anyway, you go down there, you're just too young to be going down.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
too young to be down there half the time.
Come on, it's
Come
good,
on.
it's good
So we need to
food, I
make
know
sure
the
if we
lady.
have a timeline
Yeah,
going.
you do.
So the
Timeline, so what do you-
RFP,
I'll save
All right,
something.
hold on, what do you suggest?
the timeline of, does this committee need to give something to the council on, get the billing done? I mean, they know the issue is you're working on it, but is there,
Well, I was
a
told,
timeline for the RFP, that we are in support of the RFP to
the
keep
town
moving
manager
forward?
told me
March.
that we needed to get something to him in March,
If it goes on the ballot.
if it goes on the ballot, right?
But I think we need the information as soon as possible, regardless if it goes on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
that
I'm
RFP,
tending to
everything's kind
lean-
of tied behind that RFP.
I'm tending to lean with what the residents want right now, it looks to me like they want it to be on the taxes. That's what I'm looking at, with a bag program, that's how I'm looking at it.
I think there's also
However,
confusion.
Whatever the
There's so
committee
much
decides,
confusion,
I will
nobody
do.
knows what's going on.
I mean, spell it out. You know, the paper doesn't say, that's one thing it didn't do. Yeah, we got everybody's attention. But when we have a number, put out, you wanna mail something
Oh,
out,
we
mail
will.
it out then, say.
We will.
It's not user fee, call it what it is. It's called pay as you throw.
Right.
And the amount of the bag can change whenever and followed with taxes.
Shortfalls.
And the taxes can happen whenever. And the flat fee is a fee that every unit would pay that's included in the system, or it's just straight in the taxes.
Okay,
The pay as you throw was kind of a little bit of a smokescreen in there, like user fee
Call it that.
followed with taxes. Yeah, user fee. What's a user fee? Is it a flat fee, or what's a
well, we
user fee?
did put it on there, bags, we put bags.
Well,
There's so much in there, it's confusing
All right,
all the way
yeah.
around.
So I just want you to share, the bags actually surprisingly have not gone up over the years. So like, City of Worcester has not changed their fee.
not true. Took a picture. Let me help you.
All right,
I'm not saying they shouldn't go up.
They should have gone up from 1993, a bag should be close to what you pay for a
So,
cup of
but
coffee.
Okay, Irene, but what are you asking us now, timeline to do what?
No, just to moving forward, I just wanted to make sure that we are in the thing, is the billing is most important. If you're going with any of these programs, mostly the flat fee is a part of that. You need to make sure the billing situation needs to be upgraded.
And how is this related to senior and landlord
2 weeks ago.
education?
Senior and landlord education is getting a newsletter out right away.
Okay.
And then after we get the data,
Hang on,
we're
I'm
gonna
gonna read
do
it.
another.
I'm gonna read it.
All right, hold on. Let her finish.
We'll do presentations to both when we get the official data.
So, you're asking us to present something to the seniors and to the landlords.
After the program has been agreed upon.
Okay.
But the number one is just getting it into their newsletter, so like at the seniors newsletter. And just, because we got that, you got 1,000 responses, but I'm just saying the two pockets of the people that are gonna be heavily impacted is the seniors and the landlords in this town. And those are the ones that were missing from the initial thing. So getting it into their newsletters, the senior newsletter, the landlord association newsletter, it's just a blurb that we just had in the survey.
Okay.
And it's just, get them to know that there is a committee, here's the website.
It's funny, landlords don't seem high on my list of concerns.
No.
But not only that, as most people don't realize, landlords can write this expense off.
That's true.
Single-family homeowners cannot write these expenses off.
All right, I'll
This-
let Mark read his.
This is just a resident of Middleborough. Thanks to the town of Middleborough for doubling the cost of town trash bags that we must use. Just another thing that has gone up in cost when everyone is struggling.
Is that on Facebook or
Yeah.
something? Oh, okay.
So this is,
But that might have been that they haven't changed it the time
mighta,
that they
coulda,
bought.
shoulda, woulda. They raised the price of the bag. They had a shortfall. So I started doing a little research in Middleborough and they came up short. And where they got it was the bag. They doubled the cost of the bag.
Okay.
It's, the uncertainty is so, it's literally like a blank check.
All right. So we're just looking at it right now. We don't know that's what we're gonna do.
I agree.
Unfortunately, a lot's gonna hinge on the RFP, that we can't get, we can't.
And it's similar to a town or city that says, we haven't raised your taxes in 5 years. So here's a 10% increase.
All right.
You should have been raising them by 2.
So let's talk about our next meeting.
Yes.
2 weeks up tonight?
Do you wanna do 2 weeks?
I think we need to.
We need to wait for some of the data.
Some data and
We could do
costs.
3 weeks. I think we could do 3 weeks.
We could do 3 weeks.
I think 3 weeks, because we'd have more, hopefully we would have more information in 3 weeks.
3 weeks would be would be March 2nd.
Because we're burning the candle on both ends with no
So
number.
March 2nd,
Yeah.
you're saying?
That would be 3 weeks.
What is it?
It's March 2nd.
3-2.
We're burning the dynamite.
March 2nd. Is that okay with everyone? March 2nd?
March 2nd,
Yeah.
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock?
Yeah.
That's good. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna plug the condo, she's gonna
Yes.
I'm gonna try to set up
Thursdays at
Jen got
6.
one item meeting.
I think we
for
should
next
have
week.
it at 5:53. I like that
Well,
better.
Thursday.
All right, hold on. Accept the meeting to, motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All those in favor?
Second, yeah, let's go.
What do we say, March
Second.
March 2nd, March 2nd.
6 p.m.
Technology is so bad.
Yeah.